Bitcoin is crashing along with the rest of crypto. They're dragging the miners down with them. We're hitting tops in the market. We're going to look at the economic calendar as well as the money market funds real quick. We're going to do this as fast as we can this morning. Things are a little bit rough today. Let's get right into it. So first we're going to look at the economic calendar. You can see today we're going to get flash services PMI, manufacturing PMI. Those are going to be some important numbers, not as important as some other stuff, but it will be interesting to see these things. Existing home sales, that'll tell us how hot the housing market is. Real estate, which, if that's going up, people are feeling wealthier. When it's going down, people aren't feeling so wealthy. U.S. leading economic indicators. This one's going to be pretty important to take a look at 10 a.m. this morning. So it's a little less than 1 hour away. Let's take a look at the money market funds. All right, so we actually saw this one drop by, let's see, 98. It dropped by $22 billion. But if you'll notice here, retail went up. So it was institutional investors that took some of that money out of money market funds and started rolling it over into the market, which caused us likely to see that top that we saw yesterday, where we reached 5,500. Now they're saying that 5,600 is in reach, and I tend to agree with it. We might see, 53, 5,350, so 5,350 before we see 5,600, but I do think 5,600 is likely to come in before we see the end of this because usually markets don't top in June. Usually it's around July where they top, so that's something to take a look at there. And also the fact that retail is still growing gives me a lot of hope in a further FOMO rally coming through. So that means that retail money is still on the sidelines. Now, they're not going to inject all $2.5 trillion of this, but even if, 400 billion of this finds its way into the market, that would be a pretty nice run for us at the end. That little FOMO run, that would be pretty great for us there. This is likely the falling one on institutional sides. Yeah, that's some big money deciding it's missed enough of this rally and it's time to get the last little crumbs out of it, squeeze it. Now let's take a look at the SPY with it, and with that you can see central bank dark energy tracer over here. That's this purple line. That is global liquidity. Currently, yesterday it dropped, and you can see that the market came down as well with it. This morning we're not doing so hot either. It is starting the day off down, so that is a little bit interesting and a little bit um, nerve-wracking tiny bit just because it is hitting the 5-day moving average. We lose the 5-day, we're likely to come down to the 20-day, which is all the way down at 534 on the SPY, which I think it would meet it around 535, which is why I was saying earlier that we might see, or I think we might see 535 before we see 560 on this thing, even though I do think that we will likely see 560 this year, probably in July. Let's see, how far is that down from where we currently are? 535. That's about 2%. Yeah, about 2%. And how far would that be from the very top here? About almost 3%. So you get a little 3% pullback and then a move up again. Similar to something like what we saw back here, where, what was this? This was like a 3% pullback followed by a 6% run. So and what would 6% do for us from 535? Let me take a look here. 535, close enough. 6% would take us 6% would take us almost to 567, a little over 567. 6%, if we got a 3% pullback followed by a 6% run like we just experienced a couple weeks ago, that would take us up to over 567. That would be a pretty big move. So that is absolutely within the realm of possibility here. We could see, a little sell-off for about a week and a half, and then pulling ourselves up in a big way from the 20-day moving average here. So that is exciting to see, actually. I'm actually pretty excited to see that happen. All right, let's move on to crypto. It is having a bad day today. You can see that Bitcoin is currently down at 63,748. We are operating off of this double top here. We are near the bottom of the double top though. It needs to come down to somewhere about 62, mid 62,000 to to mid 61. So mid 62 to mid 61 is what we're looking for this move to come to an end. We are respecting this trend line here. And when we break this trend line to the upside, that's when we're going to see a big move back up here. We are getting a bit of RSI divergence here from the previous low. You can see that we are at a much higher price, but RSI is at about the same level. You can also see that volume is relatively flat, slightly pointing up, even though we're still falling. So we're falling on lower volume, and we are seeing an RSI divergence here. Price way up, RSI is the same value. So when this trend line breaks and it goes back to the upside, it's going to move violently to the upside. So be prepared for that. Do we know when that's going to happen? No, but it could. Honestly, it's Bitcoin. It could happen at any moment. So I'm actually not too concerned about this. I actually look at this as a buying opportunity. And of course, this is not financial advice and not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. Never is. Just entertainment and information. That's what we're doing here. All right, so let's move on to Ethereum. Ethereum is getting squeezed between the 20-day moving average and the 50-day moving average, and it's forming something of what you would probably want to call this a flag, right? Like you'd want to call this a bear flag and look for it to move further down, probably towards the bottom of this big candle here at $3,000. That's probably what you're thinking about, right? Somewhere around 3,100 here. 3,100. Okay. Um, and honestly, yeah, that does look like a bear flag. It is creating a bit of a pennant here, but we are getting a Bollinger Band Keltner channel squeeze, and we are squeezing between the 20 and 50-day moving average. This thing can go either way. So it can either shoot all the way down to 3,100 or all the way up to 4,000. But we don't know which way it's going to go. We are in a bull trend though. So there is a fairly decent chance that this goes up, that if Bitcoin decides to turn around and go up, that Ethereum will very quickly find itself at $4,000. So this one's pretty risky. This is pretty precarious right now, the Ethereum price. It could find itself at 3,100 and then fly up to 4,000. Could totally do that. Or it could go right up to 4,000. Not entirely sure what it's going to do, but it is a little precarious where it currently is. And this price action makes me a little bit nervous because I was looking for a double bottom. It doesn't look like it wants to give me that double bottom. If we lose the 50-day moving average and close beneath it and stay down there for 2 days or so, we are very likely coming down to 3,100 from there if that is to happen. If we break the 20-day moving average to the upside, or this trend line here to the upside, we're very likely coming quickly to about 3,800 and possibly 4,000 after that, soon after. All right, let's move on to Solana. Solana's not looking so hot right now. So Solana is below the 200-day moving average. That is not good. We are doing a lower RSI at a higher price. Okay, so this is going down, and going up. So there is a little bit of RSI divergence going on in here. With a lower RSI and a slightly higher price. It's not crazy divergence, so I'm not too interested in it. This is a pretty aggressive but also fairly controlled selling pattern that we're looking at here. When the selling pattern comes to an end, I do expect Solana to just come out of this thing like a rocket. Let's turn on the drawings real quick. But I am looking at putting in a buy order at about, let's say, like 126. I'm looking at putting in a buy order at around 126 for Solana to get my last little bit of the bag. The last crumbs for my Solana bag, I want to fill at about 126 and then ride this thing all the way up, back up to like 210 and beyond from there. That's what I'm looking at doing on Solana right now. All right, let's take a look at Dogecoin. Dogecoin also trading beneath the 200-day moving average. So we came up, failed this neckline here, came all the way down from about 17.5 cents to where we are now at 12.2 cents. That's why you don't front run these patterns, even though this was like a textbook inverse head and shoulders looking pattern that very likely could have taken us up to 20 cents. It never broke that neckline. And the fact that it never broke that neckline meant that the trade never was on. Like it was never on. All right, so right now, it's a little interesting. So we got a big tail, a big wick on June 18th, but we are flagging here with wicks on top. This is looking very much like a bear flag currently. And I'm going to call it as such until it proves that it's not. It has to break this dotted line to the upside, and then it has room up to the 20 and 50-day moving average. The highest move right now is 15 cents before it runs into significant resistance. If this turns out to break beneath where it is currently sitting on support, and if it goes any lower than it currently is, it is very likely coming down to about 10.7 cents, maybe even all the way down to 9.8 cents. So between 10.7 and 9.8 cents is where Dogecoin is going if it does not break this green descending trend line here. And then it has room up to 15 cents. If it cannot manage that and breaks below where its current price right now, like pretty much any lower, we're going down to 10.7 to or not between 10.7 and 9.8 on Dogecoin. All right, let's move on to the miners real quick. So you can see here, so we're looking at CleanSpark. Right now we're in a Bollinger Band Killer Channel squeeze, as you can see by the plus signs. The volume is flattening out. We got slightly overbought and we started coming down in the pre-market. We are down to $18.60. We are right on the 5-day moving average. Oh, and it's going lower. So yeah, I was going to say, I do expect us to tap $18 today. Will we go lower than that? I don't know. But support is with we have two SMAs below us at the 20 and 50 sitting at $17.20 and 16.99 respectively. You know what? Let me just put those on the chart. Just put them on the chart. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So we got, let me turn off my drawings. Great. Yeah, 1722 and 1697. So we could go as low as $17 today on this thing and still be in a bullish move. So that's very possible right now, and we might see that happen. Let's take a look at Mara. It's going to be a disappointing day today. Oh yeah, Mara down at $19.93. We are in that most traded area here for Mara, right? Once again, we just cannot seem to break away from that 1980 line. We're constantly right on top of that thing. It's kind of annoying, kind of frustrating that just can't get away from this thing. But the longer it consolidates here, the bigger this move up is going to be when it decides to move up. So that is what's going on with Mara right now. It's looking very flat, but it is getting pretty red in the pre-market here. So that's going to be a little bit rough to experience this morning. Let's take a look at Bitfarms. How's Bitfarms pre-market? It is down at 294, which is exactly where my white line is here where I wanted to see it come down to sustain this move up. So if it doesn't go like, as long as Bitfarms stays above 282, honestly, I'm still feeling this up move on Bitfarms for now. We are overbought a little bit. Volume is flattening out. Yeah, I could see it hang out here for a few more days. Let the 20-day catch up. Let the 20-day get up to, 260 or so, and then move on our merry way. Let's see how Riot is doing. We haven't really seen any new news on the Riot acquisition. I'm assuming they didn't go over 15% because we haven't heard any big mega news about the poison pill yet. I will keep you updated on that as it comes out. Riot is down to $10.12. We are currently below all the SMAs right now on Riot once again. It is just consolidating here. Again, I'd like to see this thing move up. It's got to get above the 200-day moving average at $11.67 now. That is the line in the sand that it must get above before it has any chance of going any higher whatsoever. But once it conquers that 200-day moving average, I think we're very quickly going to come up to 1324 and then likely find ourselves up here getting close to this cloud somewhere around 1690, maybe even 1750 on Riot sometime soon, relatively soon. All right, let's take a look at Bit Digital. How is Bit Digital doing this morning? It is down to 283. The market is about to open, so I'll stop looking at pre-market here in about 30 seconds and we'll start looking at actual market data. And there it is, actual market data. So we opened up minus 3.5% today on Bit Digital. It is still in this ascending channel. It is still in a very bullish move right now. It could get caught at the 20-day moving average here at 269 or the 200-day at 256. That is where we are likely to find support in the next coming days, and then before we start moving back up towards $3. Again, let's take a look at IREN. How is IREN doing this morning? IREN is down 3.74%. We are below the 5-day moving average. If we hold below the 5-day moving average long enough, I do expect us to come down towards the 20-day moving average, which is now at $10.51. I think we'll probably meet this thing around 11-ish dollars, somewhere around there. And we could come as low as, let's say, 9. These are going to continue to move up as while the 200-day moving average crawls up on IREN. But the longer it holds beneath this 5-day moving average, the more I'm expecting it to come down towards the 20-day moving average. Let's take a look at CORZ. How is CORZ doing this morning? At minus 4.73%. How far are we off the top here? We are currently 20% off the top. This is exactly what I'm expecting to see IREN do, just come lower and lower off of this, come towards the 20-day moving average. $7.30 is about the area I'd be looking to pick it up. I do think it will overshoot this a little bit, as crypto stocks tend to do. I think it'll probably come down closer to this white line around $6 before curling back up and getting momentum once more on CORZ. So that's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm watching for. Let's see how the CIFR warrants are doing this morning after I screwed them up last time. They are down only 6% today, holding at 158. Man, if you caught it down here at that 70-cent range that it got down to a couple of weeks ago, like I did, and then held it till now, man, you're doing really good. You doubled your profit already on that. But I am looking for this thing to come back down, probably into the low ones. Probably, I'd like to see it come back down to the 20 and 50-day moving averages right now at about 117, and then I'd consider loading up a smaller bag than I did before, but a bag all the same, and then ride that back up to hopefully 220 and beyond on the CIFR warrants for that. Let's take a look at the underlying for CIFR. Down 6.49%. We're beneath the 5-day moving average. This is a blow off top. If you ever wanted to know what a blow off top looked like on the daily chart, CIFR showed one to us yesterday. That is a blow off top candle. I do expect this thing to quickly come down to the 20, maybe even the 50 down here at $4.11 on CIFR. So be patient on that one. Take a look at that. I mean, if it turns around, so be it. But that's what I'm looking for when I'm looking for a top signal right there on CIFR. That is it. This one right here, that candle. That is a very blow off toppy candle. All right, let's take a look at WULF real quick. How's WULF doing? It is just beneath the 5-day moving average. I expect all of these to follow a similar pattern that CORZ is cutting out for them on the ones that don't hodl. Well, CORZ us? I can't remember. Someone will correct me. Yeah, I'll be looking for them to follow that. The ones that ran recently to follow a similar pattern to CORZ. It's going to come down a little bit. This one I'm looking for it to come down to about 377, maybe down to about 325, 330. Touch the 20-day moving average and then carry on its merry way from there. Anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a profitable day.